Do you ever find yourself sitting there with your cup of tea or maybe your morning coffee, just scrolling on your phone? That means doing this. And gradually you feel terrible. We have a word for that in English. It's called doom scrolling. To scroll is to page down, and doom, D-O-O-M, means destruction and ruin that you can't avoid. So if we doom scroll on our phones, it's like we're in a dark tunnel, often a dark tunnel of news. We're looking for the next bad thing. But what if I told you there were some truly brilliant and uplifting things happening in the world right now? Good news to balance the bad. Welcome to this podcast. I'm Hilary, and today we're going to focus on positive news. And while we're taking that much needed break from all the bad news stories, you'll be doing something fantastic for your English when you just sit back and listen to an interesting topic spoken in natural, authentic English. You pick up the language automatically. The words just stick in your head, and it is the best way to learn natural, authentic English. And if you don't know what I mean by our Learn Through Listening method, check out our free 7 Rules of Adept English course. It's on our website. It tells you how language learning actually works. So now, take a deep breath, get comfortable, and let's get on with it. 3 news stories for you today. Firstly, how the use of a police database is helping people stay warm in their houses. Secondly, how are empty plastic bottles in Eastern Europe feeding cats? And third, how can a simple flat pack box contain something that might give a young girl 20 hours of her life back every week? Yes, we're in the UK and our stories come from different places in the world, as well as coming from the Positive News website. Here goes. Let's start with that first story. You're probably using the internet right now, but we rarely think about the physical buildings that run it. These are massive data centers filled with computer servers, and there are all kinds of problems with these, especially for the environment. But one of the problems, they get incredibly hot. They generate huge amounts of heat. And usually companies spend a lot of money on air conditioning to make it cooler and blow the hot air outside. Ugh, what a waste. Why can't we use that energy, that heat, for something else? But before we solve that problem of how to capture that heat and use it, let's look at another problem. A massive waste problem. Yes, this is about rubbish, Rubbish, and specifically plastic bottles in Romania. Romania is what we say in English, but Romania in Romania. So this is our second story. 2 or 3 years ago, Romania was falling far behind other European countries for recycling. And in fact, recycling only 1.3% of their rubbish. But a not-for-profit partnership was started in 2023. That means an organisation like a business, but it is not for profit. Instead, it's doing something good. And this not-for-profit partnership was between shops, soft drinks producers, and breweries who make beer, as well as Romania's Department for the Environment. They all became shareholders, and they launched a massive bottle deposit scheme across the whole of Romania. That means you pay a deposit on a drink, and you get that money back when you return the bottle. The amount, half a Romanian leu, or about 9 pence in British money. So you get that money back when you return the bottle. It makes sure people recycle. And the scheme works because it's very easy to return the bottles. For example, supermarkets doing home deliveries collect the recycling and then put the money in customers' accounts. And the waste is then sorted, sold to recycling companies, who then sell it back to the manufacturers, like Pepsi and Heineken so that they can use it to make more bottles. Proper recycling. Recycling often has a bad name because it's not done properly. Waste is collected, but it ends up on rubbish dumps in other parts of the world. What's good about this Romanian scheme? It's 100% traceable. That's traceable, TRACEABLE, meaning you can follow exactly what happens to a bottle from start to finish. No one is cheating the system. And the Romanian boss of this partnership, this not-for-profit company, pointed out that if you walk down a street in Romania, there are no bottles there as rubbish. And according to the article in Positive News, Romania have gone from recycling about 1% of bottles to about 94% in just 2 years. Where do the cats come in? Well, one older lady in Transylvania says she collects bottles and saves the money from the deposit, and this buys her cat food for the week. So the cats get the benefit too. Other countries like Poland, Turkey, Bulgaria, and the UK are looking at this scheme and thinking about doing the same. That's positive news story number 2. Back to London now and our story about those hot computers and the heat from those data centres. Well, some clever property developers, that means builders in West London, realised this heat could be turned into something useful. So a massive new development of houses in Earl's Court in West London is taking the waste heat from a local police data centre called the Mopac Tower data centre, and along with heat from nearby tube tunnels, is using it to warm 4,000 new homes. How? Well, water runs through underground pipes, collecting heat from the computer rooms and the tube, the London Underground. It does get hot down there. Then clever heat pumps in the apartment buildings boost the temperature for radiators and showers in people's houses. And this system apparently operates at 264% efficiency. That's EFFICIENCY. Just think about that. A standard gas boiler, well, it's 85 to 90% efficient. Not as good. And the new system is so efficient because basically it is moving heat around rather than generating it, rather than creating it from nothing. And this is being paid for privately. It's not needed government money. Hooray. So someone processing police data is literally keeping a London family warm on a cold evening. And it's countries like Sweden and Denmark that have led the way on this technology. That's positive news story number 2. If you like these stories and you fancy practicing your English some more, don't forget to go to adeptenglish.com and sign up for our subscription service. 8 extra episodes a month, no adverts, which is brilliant for getting those all-important listening hours in. Why are these hours of listening important? Well, because the more listening you do, the sooner you will be speaking English fluently. So go and have a look. I'd say the topics I cover in subscription are even more interesting than these on the podcast. Now for our third positive news story. How can a flat cardboard box give a girl a life? Well, in the West, we often take for granted our household machines. If our clothes are dirty, we put them in the washing machine, press some buttons, and go off to make a cup of coffee. An hour or two later, perfectly clean clothes. But for some 5 billion people living in more remote areas of the world, the laundry, that's LAUNDRY, the washing of clothes, has to be done entirely by hand. And it's not just the clothes. Think of all those bed sheets and towels. Imagine washing those by hand. And in many places, this time-consuming physical task falls mainly on women and girls. They can spend up to 20 hours a week just washing clothes, just doing the laundry, often by hand in cold rivers or buckets. That's buckets. Well, an engineer called Navyot Sornay has invented something which is quietly changing this situation. It's a flat pack washing machine called Divya. That's Divya. Flat pack means it comes in a flat cardboard box, just like furniture from places like IKEA. You build it yourself, following the instructions, of course. And Navyot Sorne's UK-based social enterprise is called the Washing Machine Project. What do I mean by social enterprise? Well, it's another of those organisations which use business strategies, but they're not for profit. Their focus is on using money generated to make the world a better place, rather than pay shareholders. And Navyat Sorne, he used to be an engineer for Dyson. So the really useful part of this is that the washing machine is completely off-grid. Off-grid means off the electricity grid. So the washing machine works without mains power, without electricity, and without mains water supply. That means you can use it where there's no electricity and no running water. So how does this off-grid washing machine actually work? Well, you simply put in the clothes, the water, and some soap and let it soak. That's S-O-A-K. Then you manually turn a handle on the side for a few minutes. Manually, that means with your hand. It's that soaking and then moving the clothes around that gets them clean. This simple mechanism saves 75% of the time that women and girls would normally spend doing the laundry. It also cuts water use by half. It makes their lives easier and, even more important, leaves women and girls free to do more interesting and useful things, like education. This washing machine has already impacted the lives of 50,000 people, and Najot Sorne is just getting started. What's great about this project is that the creators were willing to listen and learn. They didn't just ship the machines and walk away. When they brought early versions of this washing machine to remote parts of Uganda, they realized that the parts needed to repair the machines when they broke down were too complicated, and people couldn't mend the machines themselves. Also, the parts needed to be available to buy locally. So they changed the design so that the parts could be bought in local shops. Brilliant. They also added wheels because they noticed that the machines were being moved between different houses. And they added a textured part in the lid for scrubbing stubborn dirt and stains. And the washing machine project has already shipped hundreds of these off-grid washing machines to 13 different countries. Just imagine giving many hours a week back to a young girl. That's time she can use to go to school, to study, to read, or simply to play. That's positive news story 3. So whenever the world feels full of destruction and all the bad things that human beings do, and reading the news turns into doom scrolling because we're frightened of what the powerful people will decide to do next, just remember the world is full of clever people who are busy fixing problems. Human beings are capable of brilliant and thoughtful things too. I hope these stories bring a bit of lightness to your day, as well as some excellent English vocabulary practice. Don't forget to listen a few times until these words become natural, just like in your own language.